Hello, welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. Today I am working on 2 YouTube hops. The first one is PinkFresh Friday, and I have pulled my Happy Heart collection. I've pulled three pieces of pattern paper, and then all of the embellishments and the alphas that I have for this collection. And some ink. We'll get to that in just a second. I have pulled some photos that I printed here of me doing a Bible study. And then the second hop that I'm going to be working on is the Mixed Media Mayhem. Now this month, instead of getting a sketch, we were given a recipe card. I'm going to post that up here in the corner. We're supposed to use background stamps. We're supposed to use a 12 by 12 stencil and ink. And so I have all those elements. So I'm going to be going ahead and getting this started. I'm going to pause and I'll be right back. Okay, first things first. I had a really rocky start to this layout. With the first stencil that I pulled out, the one with the heart on it, it did not look great on the pattern paper that I chose, and so I chose to pull out a different piece of pattern paper from this collection. It's the one that kind of looks like ink that has been blended together onto a white piece of cardstock, and I'm using that instead, and I'm using this 12 by 12 scripty stencil instead. I also changed out my inks because the ink that I chose was too bright pink. This is Ballet Slipper by PinkFresh Studio, and it has more what I was looking for, the more subtle design that I was going for in this, and I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to overwhelm the design that I have for this layout. So I'm going to use the same color of ink and this heart background stamp that I got in one of my hip kits. This was an extra purchase. It did not come with the main kit. I've been kind of buying their background stamps when they pulled them out. I've got this one and I've got another one that is similar that looks like leaves. I adore both of these stamps. I've used them both a couple of times. They're great stamps. And so I am going to just be putting this background stamp in this blank space that I left intentionally from the stenciling. And it's going to be on the right hand side is going to be up a little bit, and then of course, as you can see with this one, I have put it down a little bit lower than the one on the right hand side. Next up, I'm going to add some splatters, and I start with my Delusions white linen. As you've heard me say before, this is my absolute favorite spray. I adore playing with this spray, and I am going to just kind of put this ink all over the perimeter of my background paper. I'm not really worried about getting it in the center because I know that is where I'm going to be layering photos and embellishments and journaling and titles. So quite happy with that. So next up, I'm grabbing another really old ink. This is Mr. Huey's, and it is the Cameo. This ink came from Studio Calico back in the day before they did their color theory line. And in fact, I don't even know if they're still using those inks and stuff, but that's what I'm put on here. Next up, I put some crate papers, hot air balloon on it as well, and then I let it dry. Alright, now I'm going to trim down this window piece. I don't know that you can really see it, but I cut out 3 of the windows from that pattern paper, and I'm going to use some of the scraps that I just cut off of it, and I'm going to map both photos onto that back side, which is a green and white leafy print. The one scrap was not really large enough to do both photos, so I cut off a 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch piece to mat the second photo, and I'll have to trim down that photo because I forgot that these groove book photos aren't actually the same size. They're like 4 1/8 inch or something silly, so I have to cut off part of that. And of course I'd already put adhesive on it, so it's sticking to my trimmer. But here is the second photo, and it is ready to be matted. So I'm going to kind of create a larger photo mat here, and I'm going to put it on this pink floral print, and I'm going to stagger these photos just a little bit. I'm going to tuck it under and just leave it a little bit staggered, and then I'm going to kind of eyeball a larger photo mat there and get it all trimmed down so that I have this large photo mat to work with. I also decided to scuff up the edges of this photo mat. I kind of just thought it needed a little bit more texture, and so I'm going to use my Tim Holtz Distress tool that my good friend Kimberly gave me, and I'm going to distress the edges of the photo mat, and then I'm going to start playing around with some embellishments. Now, like I said, I fussy cut these windows out. Cut out 3. I'm going to place one on either side and one above, and it's going to do more peeking out of the top. Next, I'm going to pull out these puffy stickers and see what I can find on those. Now, I have 2 sets of them, which is kind of interesting to me, but I use up quite a few off the opened pack. I pull out the arrow that says Fresh Start, and then I pull out the book and one of the hearts, the big heart, and then I decided to use one of the embroidery hoops. So I'm going to move that heart that I placed up there, and I'm going to put the embroidery hoop up there, and then I'm going to place the heart on top, kind of just sitting off to the side. And next I'm going to put my title, and of course I'm going to use the warmer colored side of these letters. These are fun letters. These are kind of some of my favorite letters, and I haven't even used these yet. I hadn't opened the package yet, but my title is going to be Filling My Soul. And of course, as I mentioned at the beginning, these are photos of me working on a Bible study with Courtney Joseph, who has a blog called Women Living Well. And I have studied underneath her for many years in between in-person Bible studies, as well as alongside some of the Bible studies. I've even used her Bible studies as Bible lessons for my kids when we were doing homeschool, because Bible was one of our courses that we took and we did every day, and I kind of changed up what we used each year, and I do know that we used one of her Bible studies one year. So I'm gonna try to just get these letters on here. I'm not making the title straight across. I'm putting them on the bottom of each photo. Next, I'm gonna open up these chipboard frames, and I found one in the center there that says let in the sun, or let the sun in, and I actually changed the word S-U-N to S-O-N with my, you see me doing that right here with my white pen, and I put in one of the chipboard pieces that says grow, and a chipboard heart over there by my little book cluster that I created. So next I pulled out some of my floral ephemera, and I'm going to dig through here and see what I can come up with. I know that I want some leafy bits and some floral bits, and so I'm just kind of playing with some of the ones that are kind of hard to use. I really think they created this collection for you to cut out these windows and make little embellishment clusters with the windows, because there's a lot of little plant things that show up really well or fit really well in those windows. And I tucked one of those plant items up there in that top window. Now I'm just kind of looking for a journaling spot. I start with this one. This is not the one that ends up on here. But as I'm digging, I find several of the phrases, and a lot of the phrases really apply to what I'm scrapbooking about, which kind of surprised me. I ended up with, I believe, 4 or maybe even 5 of the phrases from this set, which is awesome because sometimes I have a hard time using the phrases from a PinkFresh Studio collection because they just don't apply. And I'm thinking mostly like of the ones that were called from the Keeping It Real collection and Let's Stay at Home. I really had trouble using up the wordy bits in those two collections, mostly because I'm not really scrapbooking COVID yet, and those two collections came out in 2020. So I really liked how I got things placed, but then I thought that my photos and all of those embellishment clusters and layering needed an anchor point. So I'm going to take this border punch and I'm going to punch out a border here on the green leafy paper. And yes, I know that I can use the front side of the punch to punch a border, but with this particular punch and most of the punches that I own, because I'm just goofy like that, I have a hard time getting them to line up, and if I don't watch it from the back side like I was doing there, I end up with a mess. Anyway, so I went ahead and used that as my anchor point, and now I have opened up that floral pack of ephemera that I mentioned, and I'm going to start digging through it because I really thought that I might like different flowers than what I put on there, and I do find that I end up switching out the one at the top left corner. I switch out for this little corner piece because I like how it wraps around my photo mat, and I feel like the smaller photos were actually disappearing. I switch out the one photo or the one little floral bit that you saw, and then I'm going to add these other two pieces to tuck. All right, after a rather rocky start, this layout is really finished now. I have kind of moved everything down just a little bit so that I could have a little bit more of this peeking up at the top. I changed my mind on some of the ephemera, as you saw, and I put things up on foam adhesive. The windows, the actual photo mat, the phrases, and even a couple of the flowers here. I want to thank you so much for coming to my channel today. I really appreciate those of you who take the time to like, comment, and or subscribe. It's because of you that my channel is doing as well as it is. I cannot do this without your support, and so I really appreciate all that you do. If you have any comments or questions about this layout, please drop them down below and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Bye.